Hello and a warm welcome back to the WenDirk cast with me, Jimbo, and Calvinator. And as always, we're going to be discussing latest MFL updates, transfers, developments, and so much more that has gone on over the last 7 days or so. But before we kick things off, none of what we chat about on here is financial advice. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse football. Calva, who have we got on today and what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, so we have someone who's going to set the record for most appearances, I think. The third time as a guest, and he also replaced me once. So before this episode, Jimbo and I were talking that apparently we did an episode about progression before. I couldn't recall because I was gone, and this guest replaced me. He did it very good, and today we're going to talk more about progression. So welcome back, Tagerd. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me. The ban is over.
Yapper. The
ban is over, yeah. And we have a beer top 3 waiting for you. We have a nice question for you. So it's like set up to be a great episode for you. So yeah, later on, much more. We're going to kind of have a little group discussion about play progression. 3 weeks in now, I think. So we have, or 2 weeks. So we have kind of experiences, how it's going. Can we judge potential, those kind of questions. First, though, we should talk a bit about some streams we did. So, Jimbo, what's your thoughts about the streams we did in the past?
We did on Monday the first WenDirk beat, which ended in a hideous 1-1 draw. So apologies for all who stayed for the full 45 minutes to watch that game. But on the contrary, we've the time we're listening to this on Monday the 2nd of December. Happy December, folks. The second WenDirk beat will be upon us. So Monday, as you're listening to this, or maybe listen to this intro, you've probably got about an hour before the WenDirk beat kicks off. So we'll be streaming again for the WenDirk beat. But the bigger and more important stream that happened during the week was the mid-season pack drop, which was phenomenal. I want to just give a really big shout out. I've shouted them out enough and given them many thanks already. They probably hate me for it. But Shadow Champion and Zooter for gifting 5 subs each was phenomenal at the beginning. So thank you so much. That is tremendously appreciated. That's huge from you. And it felt like probably one of the best streams for a long while. We've done, every stream is amazing, but it feels like, every stream we do now just beats the previous one in terms of definitely for these pack drops. Even before the stream started, in terms of when Calvin and I spoke a word, we had about 15 to it felt like 15 unique people already chatting in the chat. So chatting in the chat, messaging in the chat. But yeah, the 2 streams were great, and we've got one more stream coming up on Monday for the WenDirk this week.
Yeah, definitely. Now it was really, we've never had so many pack openings, people sharing their screen, reactions. We had that amazing pool of the probably the splash later. So maybe not talk too much about it. Well, he must be the splash, otherwise crazy things happen. And those subs. So Christmas came early. We got like some gifts, and it's not even Christmas. So
do you know what a sub is yet?
Yeah. Like I feel like a boomer now. But
yeah,
I'm like the podcast
train.
I'm the boomer of the two of us. I have no clue. Yeah, and I've never watched any Twitch. The only time I go to Twitch is to stream myself. So I'm always pleasantly surprised at the possibilities of what happens on Twitch.
Fancy technology.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's get started with the personal journeys. So our MFL moment of the week. We will start.
Go on, I'll go first.
Okay, go.
I'm finally allowed to tweet again because I got a player out of the tier jail, which is phenomenal.
Yes.
I was praying that I was going to get it before the weekend finished, and lo and behold, we have Reynaldo Romo, who's done nothing all season in terms of progression at 74 overall, but he got +1 in his shooting from 69 to 70, and lo and behold, that was all it took. Bam, 75 rated now. And because he's always been 74 rated, and he's been that green card, it doesn't look right that he's now blue. It seems a bit odd. I'm so used to him being green, but now he's blue. But maybe, hopefully that's the barrier, the floodgates are going to open for progression for Romo. But I'm just glad I'm able to tweet again.
I think you were hoping that it's going to be this guy, right? It's going to be Romo, he's 16-year-old. So you wanted him to be the tier the SKP of the team.
Yeah, I wanted him to be. He's one of the first players I ever packed in MFL, so he's got, he's close to my heart. He's a very connected player with me, and I'm over the moon that he's now progressed to 75. Hopefully, he can push on. Big shout out to Big Wilbert, who's currently got him in under his Alps MFC club, which is huge. And the funny thing is that I even checked the training this morning about an hour after Yak said, like it's done or whatever.
Yeah.
Or something long, maybe not an hour, but Yak said it's going to do it in an hour, and then about an hour and a half later, I then checked it. It was like, okay, maybe progression's probably about 75% of the way through. No changes. And then an hour later, I came back and went, oh, I had a rarity upgrade, which I didn't think would happen because I thought that club had already, Alps MFC being a bronze club, I thought it already, the club ID, or maybe it's not even, it doesn't matter if it's bronze, but the club ID, it trained already, but apparently not. So I've got a rarity upgrade. So I feel great.
Nice,
and I'm now let loose back on Twitter again to ramble about stuff.
Yeah, and I wonder if he's now gonna progress more because he made that rarity jump. So
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah. We'll wait to see. Well, actually, my moment is also related to progression because my legendary centre back Fergal Matthews, what a guy, Irish talent. He went from 85 to 86.
Before or after Friday?
It was yesterday, I think.
Okay.
So I think he progressed. Nice. Yeah.
That's big.
And he's 17-year-old, so you also want him to show some signs of growth. Yeah. So that he now became 86, still 17.
Is he quite a small defender?
I think he's like 178, 180 almost.
Okay.
I think not.
I don't mind feeling
sure.
that he was sort of like a 5'7", really small Irish centre back.
Could be, but and also he's not playing. He's not a starter for Magos, so he's not even getting the max XP, and he now made that jump. So for me, that is very encouraging. Although now I have like a whole tier deal of 84 rares filling up, and I hope some of them will become legendary. Escape the hardest tier deal, I think. Yeah. Okay. Tagerd, what's your moment? Any special thing happened to you?
I've actually had a couple players break out a tier gel.
Ooh,
I had one go uncommon to rare and one go common to uncommon. But beyond that, they've been stacking up too.
Yeah.
Okay. Lining up.
Yeah.
But any that was your moment also, or yet another thing you thought was a great game?
He's basically gone. That's not good enough.
Well, it is. But I thought honestly, like it's kind of same as ours. So maybe.
I'm here in the U.S. It's been Thanksgiving, doing all that, and just a weekend with the family. So my moment of the week is eating a turkey.
Oh,
going to a cold parade and seeing Santa.
And were you thankful for all your players that progressed? Did you say thanks? Like thanks, MFL.
I'm thankful for Park Street Maple climbing to the top of the table right at the mid-season break.
Shock.
And coming out from the break, winning the first two games, extending that lead.
But let's move on to dev updates. So, big thing is that the engine is there's going to be a new engine in season 2, and you can already start testing it. This new experimental engine, it's still a work in progress. Things might change. So if you're testing it right now and suddenly you win everything, it can still change. So keep an eye out for that. Some cool new things are that you can see the referee, you can see the linesman, the ball can hit the bar and the post. Those are some visual things. There's loads of other tactical gameplay elements. Please read the whole dev updates and check out those the dev, what do you call it? The notes. Dev notes.
Yeah,
also.
the notes.
Yeah. The notes also.
The dev
I think
notes,
the patch notes. I don't know if there's patch notes or update notes. Whatever. Read everything. We're not going to say it here.
Yeah.
Then player progression.
Read everything.
Yeah, exactly. Reading is hard. Just listen.
Comprehend everything. Read and comprehend. Read twice if you need to.
Yeah, exactly. Player progression. So the team is, Jax is still doing it manually. They keep monitoring it. So far, so good. So at one moment, it will be automatic at a certain time of day. So then we don't have to ask in general again when training. But the most important thing from the dev updates was that in the white paper, the team has written that the higher a player's overall, the harder it is to progress further, ensuring that only the most exceptional players can reach the highest potential. And then they realized that the difference was not really significant enough, and they readjusted that. So we probably will talk about this in a couple minutes. Then contracts minimum appearances, they are now visible in the HQ in squad view. So if you have some clauses, you can see like how far you are with like fulfilling them. Pre-contract agreements, this is a new feature the team is working on, that you can negotiate and agree on a contract already before the season starts. The back end is complete. They're working on the UI. Then retirement, they start to work on that, implementing that. The oldest player is now 28, so technically they still have 4 seasons to fix it, but they are working on it. And finally, what I really like is that they improved the scouting interface. Before, on my kind of tiny laptop screen, I couldn't really see the ref share. It was very awkward to kind of see it, but now it's pushed forward, kind of they reorganized the columns, resized, reordered. So it's a bit more convenient, I would say. So guys, I think that player progression thing is the biggest story. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest piece.
Yeah,
that's the significance.
I think it's quite a bit. Yeah, it's a major update, isn't it? Basically saying that.
I would say like about that players cannot. They readjusted like that. They shouldn't be progressing so fast. The highest players, the legendaries, you see some jumps from +2 of some of them already.
Yeah,
the guy from Magus Heredia went 93, 95.
Wow.
So he's from Sturgis players. So it shouldn't go so fast. That is, I think, the conclusion, right?
Yeah, I think congrats to all of you who have got those high rated players who have
those early ones
have benefited from this. I think I saw Matt put in the Discord, it's like 70 overall and above have been impacted by this. So it's not like it is just like the higher rate in terms of 80s plus. It's a good, what's that, a half of the overalls within
about
MFL.
Half the players probably.
Yeah, about half the players being captured and basically gone, you're progressing too quick. You need to slow down a bit. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops, but it sort of seems, and to me anyway, like a big thing that's been changed and slipped through the cracks, I think we'll call it. It's probably.
But I would say it's not bad because it's written in the white paper even before it was launched. It was their attention. They just they didn't tweak it enough, I guess, or they didn't. Now they find out they didn't get that malice, and so for me it's okay. I mean, that was their plan all along, right? Yeah.
It is interesting that what we've been told is everything was progressing as expected, so they had the slowdown for the higher overalls. It just wasn't slow enough. So after seeing it through half the season, I don't know if it's just seeing it through half the season or once everybody sees it saying, oh my gosh, this 90 player is now 91, this 93 is now 95. It's like, is this happening too quick? Did that have some influence into it? But overall, it makes sense. A lot of sense. It's going to be more difficult to progress higher to get to those top tiers. And if you have those top players, you're more likely to maintain them being the top players longer. So that's great. Yeah. Kind of sucks that it took half a season to figure out, but it's also better than 2 or 3 seasons in and making the change.
No,
a lot better.
To say that,
yeah. But I also wonder, so did they then just did their prime age, like, are they now quicker, like, reaching their prime age that they suddenly get all this XP? Because I think their potential didn't change, right? So.
Well, Matt also did say in Discord that with this change, they made that 80% of prime age is likely going to happen after the prime age now.
Okay. So there's some changes, but the potential didn't change, right? Of those legendaries, that seems impossible.
No,
so it's just
that won't change.
That they just quickly they had like a great proper head start right now, and then it's slows.
You had an airport ticket just standard, not fast track security, but actually for some reason you managed to get through fast track about halfway through it to get through security before security went, hang on, you're not supposed to be there, you got the wrong ticket. You need to go back and progress through security like the rest of everyone else's.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, even if you get that fast track, you're still waiting at the gate to load.
Well, that's called tier, Jill. Although for legendaries, there is no like god tier. Maybe they should have like 96 as like some kind of god special tier or golden player. Would be cool. Okay. Way more about progression later. Now it's a season update time, diamond update, and I am very happy. You can imagine that I'm very happy with how things are going because the team I'm managing, Magos de Madrid, we are now in the 5th spot. We beat. I see Tagerd is wearing a nice Ballers shirt. But I can recall something from the chat. She said like F magicians. But we beat you.
That influencer bump is too strong.
Maybe, but I'm very happy with the 3-2 win, and it came after I made another video like episode 3, and I called it like looking up, like if we now win this, we are kind of making this connection to the top of the table, and we did. So as it stands right now, you have Meta Mercenaries first spot, 29 points with like a 4-point gap, and then there's a group of 4 teams. BFC Barcelona 25, OM Legends 25, Visione Milano 24, and Magos 23. So there's like a group fighting for the 2nd place. And then I would say kind of a mid-table, Londinium, Atletico Basel 17, 17, 16. And then the fight for relegation, Parque Samba, Berlin, K Socios. So very interesting race, I would say. Any observations from Diamond League?
Basil's still slipping down, from his he gained an extra, was it 3 points maybe? 3 points this week, 6 points this week. I was commenting on it last week because 2 weeks ago, he was top of the league with 10 points. And now 2 weeks later, he's gained 6. So he's averaging, I can't even do the maths on that, how many points per game. It's well below 1. But then on the flip side, we go further up the table. Meta Mercenaries, Rowan at the top there. Nice 4-point lead, 2-game cushion, you could call it. Not lost a single game. So, I mean, if we all stood here and said we're not surprised by that, then I think we'd be lying.
I was worried Ronan was going to get upset at me because my big takeaway so far is Meta Mercenaries still undefeated. But Jimbo said it first, so the jinx is officially on you. But Meta Mercenaries still undefeated over halfway through the season. I mean, at the end of the alpha seasons, there's seemingly a different winner for different people at the top. But come back to season 1, there's Meta Mercenaries at the top, and everybody's chasing.
Yeah.
And well, he's also, I just saw the Bastis, his updated prediction, and I think Meta was also first. They have the strongest team. But of course, they've been challenged, and it's still super hard, super competitive. But he's back when it matters. Ronan's back. So, and it's also interesting for me that Joe B really kept this kind of upwards trend of being one of the big boys now, won in the cup twice, Breakaway League. He is there in the title race for 2nd.
And tied for the most wins in the Diamond division too.
True.
Hey.
Also,
it definitely correlates with about 3-4, maybe 4 seasons ago when he really picked up purchasing players on the marketplace, especially young players. It seemed like during the first maybe 4 or 5 alpha seasons was just sort of casually playing in Diamond, where it feels like ever since season 0.6, he's sort of taken it far more seriously, which coincides with the double cup wins. He's been always feels like top 4 in the Diamond Leagues ever since. So he's, his sort of trajectory over the last couple of seasons has been really promising.
Yes. Yeah, and another observation in the relegation battle is that Gaffer did pretty well actually this week. So I think he really doubled, went from 5 to 10 points, and now he's only 3 points of this the playoff spot, so not the direct relegation spot. So a lot can still happen there. I think K-Socios, they also have the worst overall, so I think they are primed to go down. I don't know if that's a jinx, if like a reverse jinx, and now they stay up. But
reverse jinx, now they stay up. No, I think when you've won one game out of 13, you are. I think you're past primed. You are cemented. I think your ticket. All it is your train is just slightly delayed, arriving at the station of platinum. That's all it is. The destinations are sure. It just depends how soon we get there.
Yeah, true. And Samba will be interesting. I have a little bit later in the market moves about that.
Will they put little? Will they change the colours for the champions and the relegation when it's like certain? So when they cannot get out of relegation, do they just sort of like put a big R in like relegated? Like already before the season even ends, just stick relegated. Doesn't need to be there. That's more of a want rather than a need. That'd be cool to have, wouldn't it? But it's sort of, you're done. You're already out. 7 games left. Done.
Probably if you ask Jax, he can
maybe not K-Socios or Gaffer, you want that. That's probably a bit of a sucker punch, that one.
Yes.
Just have a big old R next.
It is a bit painful. But although, like, now you should keep fighting because the rewards, especially in Diamond, they still matter, right? If it's like 12th or 10th. So that's important. About the cup, we just had like a round of 16. And the 8 quarter finalists in the Titans Cup are BFC Barcelona against Meta Mercenaries, Berlin against Piscione Milano, Atletico against Ohm Legends. So those are all Diamond League matchups. And then Quito Mercenaries against Joga Bonito. So that's a plat and a gold team. I think Quito's even in gold, if I'm not mistaken. So 6 Diamond teams and 2 from other divisions. I got kicked out by Piscione, but I also played. I kind of already gave up. I don't know if that's bad, but I just put some rotation. I prioritized the league. I think now I really want to keep that 5th spot or even higher, and I'm gonna fully focus on that. So that's why I did some rotations.
Yeah, that's understandable. We can excuse that.
Yeah, you're okay. And more about this later with another question. Let's talk about markets moves. So new managers, quite a lot again. And I don't think this is like even everyone, but here we go. So Chef Lutex, Chainsaw, Freshovi, Thomas Clement, Riandinho, Lama FC, Soager 87, CB45, Pomelo 22, King Taklos, Cristobal Santana, Owen Podium 7, Florian 27, Galiev 5. And as new user of the week, I put Ties, another Dutch user, reached out to me. He also watched some of my videos. We had a whole conversation, and in the end, he bought AC Mello, which was already in the league. So a lot of new users, they feel like, okay, I'm missing out. I cannot join season 1, but I told him, like, if you buy a club that's already in competition, you can keep playing. So I think more users did that, more new users. So that's pretty fun if they can try to save some stone clubs or ice clubs who are not rotating, doing poorly, and new users buy them, take over the management. So that's great to see. Some other market moves. Common, uncommon, McBride Ace, who was my new user last week. He keeps buying players. He already has 80, and I think he bought like 30 uncommons for quite some money.
Yeah, he's got a bit nuts. I'm in the MFL, the So Rare Ramble Discord, and I sort of lurk in there and chat with some of the boys. And he was like, I've got a little bit of a budget for MFL. And then within like, he's like, the budget is now fucked and it's gone out the window, and I'm just drinking more Guinness and I'm buying more players. And he says, but I'm loving it. And it's like, go for it, mate. Go for it.
Yeah. No, I think he was like dominating the sales spot this week with all of that money, and definitely one of the big spenders. But yeah, not on like a couple of huge rares, but really pretty high on commons, bit more younger players, so really with a vision going forward. That's great. Rare players, also one relatively new user, Shackle. There he is again, Shackle. He changed his name. I think he removed the 4 for an A, so now we know it was an A all along. Shackle. And he bought a 77 cam 22-year-old for 90 USD. This is his first rare. I think he also only has one uncommon. So pretty interesting that he buys. He's also getting more serious and spending big bucks on his first rare player. Then legendary players. So of course we have a huge splash later. But there was another legendary sold this week for 1 cent. Of course,
big.
1 cent. Tagerd Gonzalez, one of those Koreans with a nice Spanish surname because there's only Kims and what's another Korean surname? I think Kim is the most one, and Son. So that's why you have those Gonzalez and Johnson and other like interesting Korean names. But he is 93 overall, so an amazing midfielder. And so Ronan sold him for 1 cent, but it was part of a bigger trade to our favorite user to pronounce. You. So Samba FC has a quality impulse. Well, maybe they can avoid relegation with Gonzalez in midfield. And then finally, Clubs Pro Scout, another relatively new user. He joined last week and he first bought an Ice Club on the 24th of November. And he thought, I really like MFL. Let's take it up a notch. And he bought Casablanca Bronze, 135 USD. So the main story is that a lot of new users are stepping up and buying more players. Over to you.
Splash of the week. Oh, damn, this one feels good. So, player that we saw reveal himself to the MFL world from a kickoff pack with stupid percentage chances of getting this legendary. So congrats to Sven on this one. Splash of the week, Marcus Klose, 92 rated German striker. Not to be, I've forgotten the word.
Confused?
Shit. Confused, yeah, not to be confused with his long-lost half-cousin, the
Uncle?
fairly
How would you call it?
the fairly decent, not, bang average striker that played for Germany, Miroslav Klose. 92 rated Klose, selling for 1,900 American US dollars. Age 22. Position striker. He's German. Some key attributes here. 90 pace, 90 pace, 96 shooting, 87 passing, 89 dribbling, 89 physical, and for those all concerned about his defending, it's 18. So, but congrats to Scrub, the tough negotiator that he is, but also a massive congrats to Sven for purchasing this kickoff pack for $9.99 and then within 24 hours selling it for $1,900. I think that is a phenomenal ROI. Phenomenal.
It's a little bit there.
Oh yeah, that's a very nice. The day before Thanksgiving as well. That'd have been a cool. But yeah, we're gonna eat and drink large tomorrow. Yeah.
I really want to know how that negotiation went with Scrub. Knowing
Well, I
Scrubs.
saw Ronan put like I offered more. I would have offered more or something like that. I wondered what, or was it Eric or someone said in the Discord that I would have offered more.
That's the good thing about Scrub. He's very proactive.
Yeah.
He knows like probably this guy just wants to sell him. Probably he wants quite some money. I'm just gonna put this offer for any MFL user. This kind of money is like a lot, especially to then reinvest or just cash out a little bit. So
for a $10 kickoff pack.
Yeah, exactly. So why? Of course you're gonna take that $1,900.
You'd be daft not to, wouldn't you? You'd be daft not to sell it unless you are a diamond manager yourself. Different story then.
Yeah, but
Ronan
also
pulls it. I just saved money.
Yeah.
Also with the diamond deal I did with him, right? Like people were like, "What the hell?" But yeah, it's Scrub just kept talking to me, worked with me, worked out the deal. So yeah, then he gets that deal. So
early bird catches the worm when it comes to deals, isn't it?
Props to him for being proactive. That's early bird indeed. So yeah, amazing splash. Definitely in the top 5 of biggest MFL purchases. We should really. I thought about it. Have some kind of Dirk, right? Twitter account with like, keeps data, keeps track of everything, and then also of transfers. Speaking about Opta, let's move to some IRL MFL things. So I guess Jimbo, you have some FPL thing story.
I was going about FPL, but it's kind of gone downhill for me recently. I'm more concerned about the mental health of a said manager for Man City, the name of Pep Guardiola. I'm sure we've all seen the images after their 3-3 draw with Feyenoord. And I know he likes to scratch his head and rub his head a little bit when things are getting a bit stressful and performances aren't going the way for Man City. But to see the scratches on his head and the mark on his nose, which in their game today against Liverpool, which they also lost 2-0, props to Liverpool. They're really sort of motoring along now, doing what we'd thought Man City would be doing. But Arne Slot's come in and, Arne Slot's pen and Tenerife just sort of moving along. I'm slightly concerned for Pep. But one thing I did find absolutely hilarious, and I love the shithousery from him, in the game, all the Liverpool fans were singing, "You're getting sacked in the morning," and he just turned around and went, "Yeah, but I've won 6 Premier League titles," or something like that. He just turned around and just put 6 fingers up. I think it was. I think it was 6, maybe 7. I think it's 6. Yeah. And that immediately shut the Liverpool fans. They were like, "Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. You've won 4 in a row. You've won 6 altogether. You're not going to get sacked in the morning." He was smiling when they were singing it. So props to Liverpool fans for that.
And then I think people said like it's how many games Man City has won now? It's like 6 also, I think.
Yeah, they won 6. Well, I guess.
Or they haven't won 6. Yeah, I think
it's 7 in a row competitions.
7,
I think.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah.
But yeah, it's bad. So I just want to shout out to Pep Guardiola's mental health.
So well, that's actually great to what I want to talk about. Also, mental health. Is about PSV player. Actually, I think my favorite PSV player is Gustil. Do you know him? Gustil.
I only know a little bit about PSV because in So Rare they're absolutely stupidly good. Because they win like 5-0 every week, and they're in a stupid division for MFL. So Rare, so they're always open.
No, PSV are absolutely dominating the past 2 years the Dutch league. Also, great American players there: Pepe, Tillman. And Till also, so he played, he scored 2 goals, 1 assist, but he was barely celebrating. And then they interviewed him, and he said he just opened up to the whole world that he's not feeling great, he has no motivation, he doesn't even feel happy scoring goals. So speaking about mental health, but then those interviews kind of shut him down. I have to go back to the studio. So then the whole country, all Netherlands was angry. Like finally a football player who says, meaningful stuff. Not just media training bullshit.
And no airtime for it.
Yeah, and then they're like, I have to go back to the studio. Like, give this man a podium. He's so nice, this dude. Opening up. Mental health football is a big thing. Pep Guardiola, right? Struggles a bit.
Yeah.
He does. And then the transition to MFL is morale, right? Maybe morale could be a thing. I think it's in the white papers that it might be a thing. So yeah, will a player feel a bit down, no morale, perform less in MFL? I think that's all in the planning. So curious about that later.
Right.
Tagerd, any...
Yapper, what's your mental health IRL MFL of the week?
IRL mental health correction.
So mental health, Manchester United fans.
Oh, crikey.
They got a little bit of a roller coaster. But spirits are definitely getting a little bit higher. Nice little 4-0 win over Everton, but we'll take it. We need these things to get us in a good mood. Nobody wants an unhappy Manchester United fan on the internet. Nobody does.
No, we want the ones that go really happy and really sad at the same time. That's
nobody really wants a happy one either. Maybe the unhappy ones are a little bit more fun, but yeah. Manchester United, they're turning it around. Fans have something to be excited about. There's Arsenal coming up, so we'll see how it goes. But
Yeah, I was just a very quick one on that. For FPL players, there is a midweek FPL this week, so don't sort of not open the app for 5-6 days. Now you'll need to open it up. I think it's Tuesday is the deadline, so just a reminder.
Speaking of FPL,
oh god,
my captain actually scored.
Huge for you. That's like the first time in 2.5 seasons, is it, that your captain's managed to bag? I thought I'd be edgy and captain the early kickoff. I captained the early kickoff, but it went horrendously wrong. So,
and I'm also thinking about dropping Haaland. So everybody go at him because he's immediately going on a scoring streak. But make sure I drop him first. Otherwise, you just wasted the move.
Well, we'll be waiting for your message in the FPL chat to confirm. We want to see the screenshot of, or the little video of you clicking confirm as a transfer comes out, and let's put Raul Jimenez or Nicholas Jackson comes in his place, for example.
I will confirm when it happens.
Perfect. Thank you for your transparency.
You're welcome.
To be continued. I feel this. Okay, now the moments you've been all waiting for. Will we get actual beer in our beer top 3? Because now number 1 is Radler from Some Moves. It's of course a famous German kind of beer plus lemonade, but yeah, it's not really beer. Then Quinny put Magnus Cider, which is also not really beer. And then Jimbo has beer, neck oil from Beavertown. Although it's pretty obscure, I would say. I don't know how many people know neck oil.
No, unless you're English, you don't really know about it.
So, Tagerd, please, I would say, put a beer. I see you're already showcasing one. So please explain what kind of beer, type of beer this is.
Coors Banquet. Classic American lager. Can't go better. Can't go wrong. And we're taking off the cider.
Okay. We're taking off the cider.
Okay.
So that means that the Radler stays number 1. So our German lemonade-infused beer.
It was an easy decision. Only one is not brewed as a beer. The cider.
Okay.
I love that from you because I thought you were just going to come straight for my head on this one and go, right, Jimbo, you've had no one's touched you at all in the amount of weeks we've had this beer list, and I thought you were just going to come straight for my neck oil and take it off. So I thank you so much. My views and you have changed as a result of this decision you've just made. I thought you'd come straight for me and make my life a misery for the rest of us.
We'll see how long it lasts.
Oh yeah, next week whoever we get on next is definitely going to push mine off, and I'm not here for it.
So, Brewers Banquet, right? That's the
Coors,
the beer.
Original Banquet. The Banquet
Brewers
beer.
Original Banquet.
Original Banquet.
I never heard of it, but now I know. So it's good. Brewers
Classic.
If I see
Banquet
some, I'll
Original in there. Okay. So another beer for the MFL meetup. We'll have a basket of candy bars, some beers.
Self appreciates a good banquet.
Will be amazing.
Banquet with a banquet. That's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it should
banquet
be a big
with a banquet.
Banquet.
I
with that.
did have them on Thanksgiving. That is correct.
Great.
Can I interrupt this transition to our progression chat?
Yeah, I wanted to do a transition now, but
I'm going to interrupt your transition with what I've just seen on X from MFL. That just a little cool announcement that they're going to be doing a MFL Wrapped.
Oh,
so we've got how Spotify do their Wrapped.
Cool. That's super cool.
And the MFL account just quoted the Spotify tweet saying, "Wrapped is coming. Bets on your top artists. Bet on your top artists." MFL quoted it. So that is horrendous. MFL
How many
Wrapped
podcasts have you done now?
Oh, too many. Not enough, maybe. MFL quoted that tweet saying, "MFL Wrapped is coming too. Bets on your top scorer." So I'm excited by that. I'm excited for my Spotify Wrapped in the first place. Also, folks, we get a podcast Spotify Wrapped as well, which is really cool. So be sure to share that because some people have been listening who has us in their sort of like top 3 or top 5 or even top 1 on their Spotify podcast rankings. It's all very interesting information. I think we can also see what other podcasts our listeners enjoy listening to as well. So we can almost maybe out some of you for listening to some horrendous podcasts. So when you listen to like the Hot Tour podcast, you're going to get outed. It pops up on there. But MFL Wrapped is coming. I look forward to it.
Yes.
All right,
that
so
would be really
looking
cool.
at this tweet,
really cool.
who, without checking, who do you think your top scorer from the past year has been?
All right, let's make it here. And we'll verify this afterwards. Mine's going to be Brazilian striker Mateus Honorio. Ding, locking that in. Honorio, locking it in.
Okay, I would say Benedicto Sepulveda, Chilean striker from Calva Juniors.
You locking that in?
Yes, I think I know Taggerds already.
Palmer.
Leonov?
You would think so. But I think for my agency, top scorer, Welsh striker, Aaron Ryan.
Aaron Ryan.
Okay.
Well,
we can come back to this and see who was right.
But yeah.
Well, if we got our own right, of course.
Hopefully.
But of course, Leonov has the most game winners. We know this.
Yeah. Well, in the Golden Boot race, right? Or this in Europe, they also get more points, right? So if you score in Diamond, it's like maybe 3, and then, or like if you score in the French league, you get 2 points. In the Estonian league, 1 point. So maybe we should also.
That's a bit harsh on the Estonian league, comparing the French and the Estonian league like that. I think. That's a bit harsh.
Well, I recently checked it for my quiz, and it was like the third one was like playing somewhere there, like in Estonia or something. It was like, who the hell is this guy playing in some random league? And he still got 1 point. I think Dutch league is 1.5. I think that's a bit unfair. And then Premier League, French Bundesliga, 2 points.
Where's the MLS
MFL,
love?
We can.
Where's the MLS love?
All behind Lionel
MLS,
Messi.
Would they be included? Oh, I think this is a UEFA thing. UEFA Golden Boot. Is there a World Golden Boot? I wonder. And then if MLS, how much points would I get? I think 1.5 would be fair. MLS.
Oh,
not 2.
You'd put the Dutch division. You put the Air Division on the same level as the MLS.
I think Air Division deserves 2, but then MLS 1.5.
It's not completely easy to score the MLS. I mean,
I know, because you can't predict what the other team's going to do. You can't predict what a defender's going to do. Their movement is just unpredictable, to use that word again.
Giroud comes, he has no goals.
He's also a granddad.
But also, how can Suarez score?
How many goals did he have in Italy right before coming? Let's find this out.
Probably quite a decent amount. I think the whole Messi Suarez thing puts this debate to bed. Like, Inter Miami were awful, and now within 1.5 seasons.
Hey,
I loved it when Atlanta beat them. I loved it.
Everywhere Messi goes, he wins trophies. He's 1 for 3 in the MLS. I can't say that with a straight face.
Yeah. I mean, Suarez is pretty much was like retired already. Goes to MLS, keeps scoring. Like, that says it, I think. But
he can't walk half the game, but bags 20 goals or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But all right, progression time. No transition, straight into it. We're gonna
Suarez is through his progression arc and
okay.
Yeah.
Reached prime age, I think, already. Way beyond his prime age. But a pretty good longevity rating, I think, Suarez, because he keeps playing like Messi.
Must have a good one, yeah.
So I wanted to start our whole progression talk actually by maybe highlighting one guy from your agency, and you can say, who do you think is your most talented player, and why? Like, why do you think he has so much potential? What are like your indicators for that? Maybe that's a fun way to start off.
Oh, right. For me, I'm going to go with a player by the name of Fabrizio Perez, my Uruguayan left mid. He's gone up by 3 overall, so he's originally a 68, and now he's a 71. And he's a massive misfits player. I think he's +5 when he hits striker. So he essentially skips this tier jail before even reaching it. But that kind of scares me when he reaches 74, he might push down a bit. But the reason he gets me so excited, I think he might be one of my hottest prospects, is because he's had, I think he's got the biggest combined attribute increase across all 6 of the statistics, right? So, looking at dribbling +5, passing +4, all these stats together are increasing by quite a lot. He's not my biggest overall gainer, but he's my biggest single stat gainer, which for me, I feels better. You know, if like Ronaldo Romo, he went up by 1 overall because he got +1 shooting. Come on, man, increase a bit more than that. That's mine. Perez, just because he's gone up by the most in single attributes.
Well, that's already one great. How old is he?
Whoa, 20. He's 20.
20, okay.
He's 20.
Okay. Good age. Not great age. Good age.
Yeah. So I'm hoping his prime age is at least 4 years out at minimum.
I think that's indeed a good one of the indicators. Is like, does he improve everything? Is he improving all over? All stats by quite a bit. Tagerd, who do you think is your hottest prospect in the agency?
I honestly have no idea. So the player I was
name one you think as like 5-star potential.
The player I was most interested in before the season gained 1 defense, got +1. Now he's a 74 and is locked in tier gel. So he hasn't been progressing at all. But out of everybody who has been progressing, and another player that I was kind of excited about has been my 16-year-old CDM U. He's gone up 2 overall so far. Another U. He's gone up 2 overall so far. That's great. He's progressed in every attribute besides pace. I will take that. His passing has gone up 2, defense up 1, physical up a couple. He's progressing as I want him to progress. I have high hopes for him. 16, already up 2 overall. Progressing across the board. I hope the slowdown doesn't affect him too much. I want to get him up a few more. But he's probably who I'm most excited about. And seeing him actually progress makes me think, he's got a nice potential. And hopefully he doesn't have a 20 prime age and he's only going to go up like 2 or 3 more and then I'm done.
Yeah, that's always it. But for me, that's a good indicator, is that if they're 17, 18, like the chance that someone's prime age is 20, 21 is still super low, right? So there's like a high probability they have at least 5-6 years before prime age. And then if you can keep that pace.
And you know what? If he goes up 2 or 3 more by 20, he's still in the low 80s. That fits kind of where I'm thinking Park Street Maple is going to be, kind of into gold. He's going to be playable. That's all I want. Players to develop to be playable.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's in the end what it's not like a race who has the most. Like, what's this Big Wilbert guy +12? Like, right? It's not.
Big Wilbert's won.
Yeah, he's winning that race.
Just like in leagues, Big Wilbert's won.
Yeah. Well, it's also, of course, massive agencies. There's always a couple of gems.
Yeah, the probability.
The probability
was on his side.
High. Yeah.
What about you then, Calver? Who are you most excited about in your agency?
Oof, this is tough. So my biggest gainer is locked up also in development center, +5, 20-year-old Dutch right back. Oh. Although I'm not super excited about that guy. I mean, he's still 56. So, although he went up 8 defense, so maybe he's like super talented defense, and he already has 75
another ice team.
Yeah, so I think 75 physical, he already has that, and then if defense +8 is now at 55. He also is a center back, like that's his secondary position. So then if that defense keeps growing like this, then he's going to be an amazing center back pretty much, and that overall will rise. But I think I've done 2 tweets about 2 guys. First, this Polish guy, Krzysztof Malec, who CDM went up from 71 to 74 while he was playing in ice and lost a lot of like match XP playing against lower teams, and still he progressed so fast. So that's a good indicator for me. But I think the most excited was another tweet about my own Messi, Sixto Carballo, 18-year-old, 79 rated, already went up +2 overall, +3 dribbling, +3 passing, +1 shooting. So if he's already so young and gains +2, and also the passing and the dribbling, the things you want from this kind of CM, for me, that's good to see. Exciting.
That is very good to see. I think one thing you got to consider here, Calvert, is not to put too much pressure on this young man from a mental health point of view that it stunts his progression. So I feel like maybe, a couple more tweets this season will be enough, but, don't want to put too much hype and pressure on his shoulders that he doesn't perform in the continuous seasons.
I should keep it low profile for him.
Yeah.
Not too much pressure. And
he's a mental spotlight.
No progression spotlights anymore for him. No, I'll put other guys in there.
Yeah.
Start calling out the ones that aren't progressing. See if you can shame them into progressing. That's really good for mental health.
I think something I just want to say here as well. The players I've been most excited about are the ones that are sat in the middle of their tier that haven't hit the tier jail, that have progressed by like 3 or 4. And it seems that every other day they're gaining a couple of stats. They're going up by an overall every 2 or 3 days. I know they're at least 4 or 5 away from that tier jail yet, so I feel like I've still got room to progress. It's frustrating that I've got 4 players now sat at 74, and one of them who just gained today to 75 was my most hopeful prospect in Romo, being a 16-year-old. He's only gained 1 all season, and that's really frustrating, but I'm hoping the floodgates now open and he progresses loads. But it's those sort of guys who are at 68, 69, and then they've gained like 3, and they've gone from bench players in iron for me to now potentially fighting for starting spots, which I love.
Yeah, no, it's hard to judge the tier jail players, of course.
Oh,
the middle one. Yeah, so there's a couple of indicators, like is the constantly progressing all over the board, not in the tier jail. That's, it's harder to progress from one rarity to the other.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a couple of indicators. Jimbo, for you, do you think there's right now more things? Like if I made a video about this, about spotting potential. How can you spot potential? How would you say you can judge that? How can you spot potential in your agency? What are like some metrics, some boxes they need to tick?
For me to think that they've got good potential.
Yeah, that you would, like, if you would rate them like 5-star potential, who deserves that and why? When does a player get that 5-star?
Such a hard question to answer, because obviously we're only 3 weeks into a season, so to make these early calls could easily backfire on what I think a good potential is. But I think what I like to see is stats increasing across a player's profile, not being stacked in 1 or 2 particular elements. Because obviously, if you've got a defender who's going up really high in dribbling, you don't need it, but it doesn't contribute much to the overall increase. It shouldn't do anyway. So it's quite nice to see stats all across the board increasing, but the ones that maybe you have a focus on for that position, pace and shooting for striker, they maybe going up by 1 or 2 more each time another one goes on. So I think stat increases across the board for me is sort of an indication that I like where this player's heading. I think he's got good potential, we'll call it.
Good potential.
Good potential.
Yes. For me also, so it's like kind of a negative approach. Like, so we don't know what is their potential and everything, but we can say there's like some factors that can hinder progression. And if they still progress regardless of those things, that's like indication. So if they're not playing all the matches, so they're missing out on XP, maybe they also have like a talent gap in both training and match, so that can hinder their progression. And if they're also still very young, so they're not in the perfect circumstances, they're still very young and they're already progressing quite a bit. For me, that is kind of a sign, like that must be high potential then.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah, so like if they're regardless of some problems, they're still doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Tagerd, what do you think? How can you spot potential? What is like some indicators you think?
Honestly, I've kind of looked at it a bit the same way you have, Calvo, for those players that are maybe a little bit above the division and opposition, or even better than other players on the team progressing. I've taken that kind of as a good sign. But at the same time, half a season in, I have no idea what I'm looking at to start. I'm just kind of going along for the ride and enjoying it. But at the same time, the most overall progression I have a handful of players at +2, so I don't have any like crazy gainers or anything. So it's just like, I'm just here to enjoy the ride. I'm going to keep it a little bit quiet. I don't really know what I'm doing. But no, it's one of those where I see some players progressing that are better than competition or better than teammates. Say, okay, they're overcoming the malice. That has to be a pretty good sign. But beyond that, it's I don't know. I see some players progressing through training, and I've put them in to get some more game time. And it's just, for me, it's mostly just trying to balance performance and progression. There's a few players I want to try to see progress. I'm trying to get in game time, but I don't have anybody going crazy, so I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, it's still, of course, too early to tell. It's all speculation. I think only after 5 to 10 seasons, or maybe the first retired players, you can get a better grip on it, I think. So not progression advice, not scouting advice, but I think we have a couple of some data right now for ourselves, like in our head, and we approach it. So based on that info, let's say, would you now build squads differently in season 2? I don't know if you already built squads with progression in mind, and would you change things around for season 2 based on what you know right now?
I guess one way of looking at it is, could I maybe go a couple of overrules lower on a player I'd usually bring in the hope of them progressing, rather than bring in someone who I want right now? And obviously they could progress as well, but then if they do progress too quickly, do they then progress too quick that their long-term progression is hindered by the fact they're progressing so well? But I don't think I'll change my strategy for season 2, how I build my squad. What it does frustrate me about is that it impacts how I build my squads during the season. I'm now at a point where I've got 4 strikers who are equally good up top, and usually start of the season it was, here's my top 2 for starters, here's my top 2 for the rotation squad. And now I'm going, all of them are fully capable of starting every game. They are all equally as good. There's some of the misfits. Honorio, who is my GOAT, is not firing. Do I continue with this because I know he's really good, but just not firing well this season? Or do I bring in the guys who have progressed a lot quicker than he has, who are statistically not as good, but just play better in the engine than him? So it's a bit like the eye test versus the stats test. So for me, I won't change my season 2 building strategy based on progression. I mean, I say that, I probably will in 3 weeks' time anyway, once I maybe know another week of progression information. But it's more how I build my squads during the season and how that affects my day-to-day routine of who I'm picking in my squads.
Tagerd, any changes, do you think? Or how did it affect you, let's say, before season 1? And how will you change things knowing what you know now?
I had basically built my rosters for the first 2, maybe 3 seasons, but I really was kind of eyeing the first 2 seasons. So for season 2, really not planning anything different. Although in my iron side, I did realize I have a little bit larger squad, so got rid of a winger. He was a backup. It's like my right mid could play right wing. So it's like, I'll just do that, get a little bit more game time. There's a little bit of progression. So maybe it was the progression make me think about that. But I more or less built my rosters eyeing the first 2 seasons and then kind of going from there, thinking about maybe some moves before season 3 or 4. But we'll see how the progression really kicks off if I actually do anything. But then my iron team's also really struggling this season. I can't get them to win any games. So the biggest change for season 2 might be if they get relegated, do I just move off some of my better players on the iron team since they're going to be in stone, and then really focus on progression for some of the other players? So it's not so much progression that might be adjusting my season 2 plans. It's actually just performance.
I thought, Jimbo, you were going to say something.
No, I was just nodding. I was nodding away. I was agreeing with the yapping that Tagerd brought to us just then.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, progression does make you think, and then I think it also shows. So we talked about my lead squads and rotation. I might trigger some people to make smaller squads. So Tagerd said you removed one guy to get, so he has more playing time somewhere else. I think we know that with match XP, how much they get depends on, like, are they like a starter, first team player, rotation player, or are they never playing? That really matters. So maybe some players, instead of having an A team and a B squad and doing full rotations, do a bit more lean planning. That could be a thing.
I've always been on the boat of having big squads. I think we're very opposite on this, Calv, aren't we? I love a big squad. You love a small squad.
But you're not like now feeling, oh no, some players are not playing enough.
But with regular training, they still can hit a minimum of 80% of their progression, though. And if I'm getting a rotation player hitting 80% of his progression, I'm still comfortable with that. So I guess it's how you as a manager are happy with. To what degree are you happy with losing progression on some players? And for me, I don't mind losing 20%, say, on a player for progression, when knowing as well that my rotation side is likely weaker, therefore will not be impacted by the match hindrance at all. So I've not got to worry about that as being a progression factor. So for me, I'm very much in the boat of have a bloody big squad and enjoy it, but by all means, enjoy it by being disciplined.
So I have a follow-up question to that now. So bringing up the matches and all that, how concerned are the two of you of getting players to 100% XP earned, getting that 80% game threshold, and getting that 100% XP earned? Are you really focused on it, targeting it, or is it just?
I'm not losing sleep. I'm not losing sleep.
No,
I'm not losing sleep over it.
I think you're gonna really, get like too crazy, I would say, or it's just don't focus on it. I'm not focusing on it at all. I'm just knowing those guys are starters. They play most of the time. Probably they're gonna hit the 80% mark. I'm not checking it. I'm not monitoring it. I think if you do that, that's just too much micromanagement, and it's not worth the stress and checking of. Plus, it messes up a bit with your lineups and tactics. So I think it only distracts from the goal in the end, which is winning, right? In the end, you want to winning promotion.
Do you have any players or teams that you're focusing on progression, or is it just kind of business as usual and they get what they get?
I would say my lower ice, iron, ironstone, that area. I think I do prioritize their younger players, more talented players, that are more carefully planning, that you have, like, with all my goalies, right? That you have like a young goalie and an old goalie. So then the young goalie is the first starter and then the old goalie is the backup. So I've built like the goalies like in such a way that there's always a young starter with an older backup. So I think, and then the older guy gets sacrificed. Okay, maybe the potential is higher, but I'm just going for the for the younger guy. So that's how I do it.
Have you had any issues where the older player kind of overall catches up to the younger player, and you're thinking, do I swap this to up the performance at all?
Not yet, but it's you might consider that then. But in the end, you also want your best players to play, right? So if he catches up and he becomes better, then he's going to be starter. Then he earned it. So what? Like, okay, then fair enough. And then for next
that young
season,
goalie you've been putting out there, saying now you're sacrificed for the goalie.
Yeah, I mean, and then next season you run it back, and then you just say, okay, now put all the goalies back in the big box, and then let's see who goes where. Old guy, young guy, and we start again. So we're just gonna mix it up again. So I think that's how I deal with the younger teams, and then the top tier teams. That's more performance oriented. Yeah. I'm okay with probably getting relegated with one team, and then promote back up, and then they get more rewards. Okay, that's all right.
So on that, Calva, just that question about the relegation and what you said afterwards. So if you are to get relegated, you're more in the boat of we will be too good for the league below, so I'm banking on getting promoted again, or do you sort of shit the bed a bit with those players who are on that team and go, just say iron to stone? Are you banking on a straight bounce back, or do you sort of rebuild that squad or that club again for that season and send some of the best progressing players, or maybe most of the squad, out to iron or bronze, where they probably, from a progression point of view, should be? If they've failed you once, are you going to trust them again for a second season?
Actually, it might not be too bad for me if I get relegated with an iron team, because now I have 4 iron teams, 1 stone, and then it's a bit hard to make all of them strong and competitive. So why not get one relegated, and then you have clear 3 stone teams, and then the lower uncommons go to.
So relegation is going to make your life easier, is what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe almost.
it might actually be slightly
focus just make a couple more stronger iron, and then the weaker, and then you for my what did you say?
Is that a sign you have too many clubs?
Yes.
Oh, I love that he's admitted that.
No,
straight away it's like, yeah.
I feel like now with everything and the diamond in there, right? It's got a bit. I'm okay with downsizing. I'm waiting for delegation, and then things also get different with.
I think hot prediction for next season: Stone's an absolutely chaotic league to get out of and play in. I think because you're going to get you might get some meh iron clubs come down, the ones that are in the weaker pot. But I think you're going to get quite a lot of very competitive teams from ice come up from new users who have wanted to fast track promotion and go up there. I think you're going to see a lot of strong ice clubs come up. A lot.
I think they're going to reload too and go stronger, searching for that second promotion in a row.
100%, yeah. And they probably can, even without offloading more money or getting more players in, could probably go another promotion as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we see easily double, back-to-back promotions from some of these ice clubs next season.
You look at some iron clubs like Winsome. It's like my iron club is comparable to Winsome, and I'm struggling. But there are teams in Stone and Ice that are just as comparable, if not better. So it's like me going down. It's like there's no guarantee I'm getting right back up out of Stone with my iron team. That's where it's like if they go down, it's like I'm going to ship some players off. Whatever. You guys failed me. Get out.
One chance and you're out.
Things need to settle down. That's I think. Also now we just talked about some of those new users who spent so much money. I think they're also in ice, and they also now want to get out, and they kind of got attached to that one club in ice, and they have some kind of Wrexham scenario in mind, just like rising up. So we'll see. Yeah, but will that then change also progression? Does that have an effect? Apparently those guys don't care then. They're sacrificing it.
I think for most managers, if you've got, say, a maximum of 3 clubs, you'll always be focused. Well, maybe 2 clubs, max 2 clubs. You'll always be focusing on like just winning. I'm going to counteract that completely and say, unless your focus is on progression, where you just do not care about winning. But if you have a club, if you don't care about winning, I think that's
weird. Yeah,
you've got to win. If you only care about progression, that's probably if you're just a pure agent of the game and you just want the progression side to it. But you always want to win, unless you've got loads of clubs and you can offset academies and make things. He's probably focusing more on progression. Him, trust the process. Those sort of people, who has a trust process, an agency of like 95% of his agencies under the age of 21. It's like, you're definitely focusing on progression then, 100%. Well,
if you literally call your club a common farm,
it
sounds like you just want to farm commons and make them better and whatever. But
you probably find a bunch of new users who have got really good ice clubs will now go, well, actually, for my starter packs, I could probably make a team up of really bang average commons. So why not just get a starter club and almost use it as a feeder for my now high-rising, potentially stone club? I think it's quite, once you get invested in playing MFL more with one club and you have success with it, it's very quick that transition to a second club and what you use it for, and that's just the progression club.
Yeah.
With progression and promotion, how many one club owners do we see go out and look for a second club? Whether it's I want to get some better players in to stay up. What am I going to do with these other players now? It's like, how many do we see get a second club to essentially be that feeder club?
Loads.
Yeah.
Loads. Like even my second club's that. I want to get promoted in it, but at the end of the day, they are low on common players, high common players who will, depending on progression of those players, will naturally flow into the Wyverns. That's how I've got it planned out. I've not quite grasped how I'm going to make that circle and curve come all the way full loop. At the moment, we're sort of bending around to about 270 degrees. We're not quite connecting to that 360 yet for the full cycle yet, but we'll see.
But I think it's quite a natural reaction for most people. Well, you feel like, oh, I can do a second club, and then, okay, this is one going to be academy, the development team. I think that's pretty...
More games to watch, more training sessions, more progression. It's just it's just a never-ending cycle of more and more and more and more. Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're Calva saying, you know what, relegation could actually be helpful.
Yeah.
I think that might be a nice quote coming back to Hanby. Yeah. Okay. I think we're kind of moving into also loaning out players and having development teams and how that changed. So how would you say play progression has changed, like loaning out players to other guys or the transfer market, buying, selling, loaning?
You automatically don't trust anybody anymore. I need 15 games. I can get you 50 games. Can you get me 15 games? You automatically don't trust anybody anymore.
Yeah.
Well, there has been some... I think some relationships between managers have soured, kind of. There, like
the people who are not like, rotating, that fatigue.
Yeah, or rotation also. Yeah.
In the MFL Ramble Discord, there's a couple of people who are like, I need to get hold of this person. He's killing my player because he now can't train because of that. And it's like, right, adding them to the list of managers never to negotiate with. They've just got this long list of who isn't active, basically, that they're figuring out slowly, who's not. But yeah, don't trust anyone. If you don't trust them, then you give them one hell of a minimum contract percentage add-on, almost to scare them into playing him enough. On the other hand, though, we're saying it can weaken relationships. It's an opportunity to strengthen relationships as well. Because if you can say, I've got a minimum 15 contract on a CDM, I think I can get into 20. If I can show to that manager I can get into 20, does that help me bring him back for continuous seasons and maybe lower that percentage because he knows that progression might help him?
Yeah, no, it's definitely gonna... It's kind of crystallizing like some networks, some stronger, some clubs that function as like a de facto development team for you, kind of. Some manager that gets like 5, 6, 7 guys from you. So that can really happen. So some stronger relationships, some things, some like blacklists, managers you don't want to work with.
The one I'm nervous about is like buying players with progression, and then I guess you could also argue like trading as well. And let's go the whole piece: buying, trading, loan. Let's go the whole trio. I've not been paying any attention to progression at the moment because I've not had to make any deals yet. I'm scared how much it's going to pay an influence on things, and how will it affect negotiations? Because for near enough 2.5 years, all three of us, we've only looked at overalls and 6 individual stats and age and position, that sort of stuff. And now we've actually got to look a bit deeper than that now, and we've got to look into a bit more about, how was his season? Which club did he play in? What was their average of their top 16? What was their competition like? There's going to be far more research being done, and I'm not looking forward to how much time it's going to take me to do. Basically, I'm not looking forward to it.
You have to make some judgment on potential.
Exactly. Because I've never done that before, the unknown, that's what I'm...
Yeah.
I guess scared is too much big of a word, but I think it's just the unknown about how that looks until next transfer season. Because I don't know, did you guys bring in many transfers to bolster your squads this season? The ones that are going for promotion anyway? No. I brought in one because I packed him, and he's only a +2 increase. So
I did I did one swap with that guy in ice that went from 71 to 74. So I put him in iron now, from ice to iron. And then I swapped another one in, like a lower, kind of a CDM swap. And I helped some people with, like, I made some squads even leaner and send them to other, to get more playing time in other teams.
Yeah, all I did was a couple players from PAX. I threw them on my Stone team just to get that 50% training for the rest of the season. They're never going to play, but just see if they do a little bit of something rather than spending MFL to put them into dev jail. I just stuck them on my team for half a season and then figure out next season.
I also did that trick. Yeah, just some comments in a gold, just as like sitting there.
It's like a last resort to guarantee progression, isn't it? Of some degree.
Yeah, it's cheaper than development and have no ice club sign them.
And if you really, really, really hate a manager you're going to be playing against in Gold Division, you can put all your comments out and stunt his progression through a game and really piss him off. So try that tactic as well.
Has anybody done that yet? Have you seen anybody reacting to, like, this team put in all their scrubs? What is going on?
No, I think I'm still in the continuation of this team's far too good for ice, and we'll go, yeah, it probably is, but that's why he's going to get promoted. It's the harsh reality. But I've not seen someone purposely tank. I did see because I've got my rare CDM Dematos, who used to be at the Wyverns. He's now at one of Trust the Process's many clubs, and he played a team the other day, and Trust the Process put like a 56 rated player in. I'm not sure if that was just pure, like, had to do it for rotation purposes because he left one on too long. But I thought, is that a little cheeky overall average decrease just to, maybe give some malice to the opposition's players? But no, I don't think I've seen anyone purposely tank to anger an opposition manager. But that could be a really good strat. I love the pettiness.
It's not going to hurt you so much. And I think the embarrassment of losing 10-0, I think, is bigger than... Plus, actually, player ratings matter. So maybe he gets a bonus then from scoring 9s and 10s so maybe that offsets.
If you do that and you happen to get one of those 1-0 upsets and they have low player ratings and it just turns into
that's
pure carnage.
The penalty on that would be huge. Discord posts. There was one other tiny thing. I see we're also approaching maybe the end, but what tiny thing is, sometimes it can also be tricky with, like, loaning out the guy and then the manager is not rotating. And then he's like +4. So first you see +4 progression, like, hey, this guy's super talented. Like, then you check this team of this manager and he's just not rotating this dude. So that's why probably he gained, because he just played everything. So he got a lot of more XP. He was like starting everything. So that can also deceive, I think, be like, if you're not then checking, like, is he being, like, properly used, or is he just being kind of exploited almost, like playing everything, and that's why he got that XP. So you have to be careful with that, I think.
Yeah, but before we go on to our final two sort of like questions before we wrap things, I sort of want to look in and ask you chaps about the future of progression in terms of, as managers yourself, are there any things you're going to be doing in the coming seasons in terms of, like, tracking or stats or any way of monitoring progression as an individual, as a user for the future seasons, or will you take it purely on sort of a case by case, season by season basis? So an example might be, my player got 8.5 rating for the season. Let's track that down, calculate how much his overall went up by, how many stats went up, which ones went up by which amount, what was that total? Will you be sort of doing that sort of piece and tracking that to maybe help create a better picture for progression for yourself, or not really? Or in between?
Are you asking for one of us to send you an Excel file so you don't have to build it yourself?
No. I'm basically giving you the whole idea. No, you just need to, I could just ask ChatGPT, I want to do this, mate. Can you do it for me? I'm just wondering, like, do you guys thinking far ahead into progression into the future, or sort of season by season?
I think, well, you kind of know who are your biggest talents, you focus more on your higher teams. Maybe that's influenced some decisions, but I think I treat my whole agency per season as just one massive group. I look at all the overalls. I make swaps based on overalls. and you kind of know who are your biggest gainers, your biggest talents. So maybe you make some exceptions that they're in the best conditions to grow. That you prioritize those players a bit more. In the end, it's mostly about performance, and you just see it with all the overall, like what is the best spot. And what I said before, like about old goalies, young goalies, old center backs, young center backs, kind of, for especially the young ones, create perfect conditions to grow. I think that's my way forward.
Yeah.
So I actually did have the idea of building an Excel model just to help guide some like progression decisions, whether it's just to get an idea. It's like, if I play them on this level, like if they're on Park Street Silver Team on the bench, they're expected to get this percentage of experience given the relative strength of competition and roster. But if we play them on our bronze team, what's it going to be? So kind of had that idea, never did it. So you're talking about
ideas are good in the head, aren't they? Until you try and do it.
Tracking everything. It's like I used to track results and a lot of stuff, and I just didn't keep up with it. Yeah. And now for me, when I'm setting up my lineups, I generally watch 5 or 10 minutes of teams, especially if it's like a match I want to win, just get an idea of how I expect him to play, if there's anything he can do. So my like 10 to 15 minute lineup setup for my few teams has turned into like 20 to 30 minutes. If I'm wanting to track results, progression on top of that, I just know I will not keep up with it, so I'm not even going to start.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
A bit too much then.
I've got one final question. I think it's actually a really neat one. So we've said constantly that we can't really look too much into progression now because of how early we are into it. From your own perspectives, how many seasons do we have to have gone through until you can, as a user, can confidently go, I think I can gauge this player's progression potential? We're not even through 1. Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 2? What do you think? Personally, I think it's probably about 3. Maybe 4. Especially if it's like a 16-year-old. They could double their age and they're not even retired yet. So 3 or 4 seasons probably not enough. You've got to go longer. What's that range looking like?
I think 3 or 4, 5. Especially with younger
6
players with with a certain constant growth, similar conditions. Of course, the prime age thing can hit. And we know you also have unique progression path, and not all. It's like some levels are harder for XP, but I think then also because you have all players, right? You can look at all players' progression of other agents who share stories. So then I think we can get a feel of this clearly high potential, especially with younger ages, with prime age being like 26 mean. So
I'm going to twist this question a little bit and send it right back at you.
Oh, brilliant. Politician
How much progression, how much time in progression are you going to need to be able to see to go on the marketplace and say, I want to overpay for this player's overall because they've been progressing the past 2, 3, 4 seasons. So if somebody started at 16 as like 62 overall, and now they're 72 overall, prices the same as like an 80 overall player, you're going to say, I'm going to do this because I believe in their progression. They're going to be, how much progression do you want to see to be doing that?
No, I don't think I'll be doing that. I don't think I'll be buying.
So you do not actually think you're going to be able to judge progression by any time?
No, not right now. No. This is one. I don't think I'm going to be able to judge progression well until maybe about 4 or 5 seasons, which is why I wanted to ask the question to you both. If we're then looking down the marketplace aspect of it, I probably would much rather prefer looking at it from face value and go, he's that rating, those are his stats, and then start looking at progression. That's sort of like the flow of what will happen if he's progressing well year on year. To answer your question really quickly, because I could ramble and yap and gloss for ages on this, I will not be overpaying for or paying above market price on the hopes that they become what I thought they would be, what I hope they will be. I would much rather be closer towards just market value of that player's overall and things like that.
One good hashtag already. Are you gonna pay the hashtag progression premium? Are you gonna buy
I am paying progression premium. I don't pay premium on many things, and I don't think progression is gonna be one of them.
Like if Vic Wilbert is now listing that dude, the +12 guy, what can he list him for? He's still kind of shit overall, but he might be like pot 99, like with this rate.
So he's +12 right now. What is he? The 59 overall. He's got 3 more seasons in DevGel. When he comes out of DevGel, if he's 70 overall, 75 overall, is he getting listed at comparable to 75 overalls? Are you going to snap him up if he's listed comparable to 75 overalls? If he's listed comparable to 80 overalls, are you going to snap him up still because he's gone up 20 whatever?
It's very
overall.
Interesting. It's like real football clubs, right? You see
Anthony,
a young guy, Anthony.
I knew that Anthony was coming.
Mudryk, right? Mudryk. Let's pay 100 million. Seems like a huge potential from Ukraine. This guy, Freddie Adu. I don't know. No one paid a lot for him, but that's like prime age 16, I think. And then went downhill from there.
I'm hoping by then someone's created some sort of algorithm or calculation you can do that will be right. He's gained this much progression, this overall. This is what he could look like in the future, and therefore, for every overall he goes up by, potentially,
prime age is here. It's here.
It's going to increase It's going to increase his value by $5. And you could do a little bit of maths and go, actually, if he goes up by $4, that's an extra $20. Would we be happy paying that? Yes or no? Take it or leave it. Bob's your uncle, deal or no deal. But I would much rather look at face value. I am paying a progression premium. Enough said, folks.
Progression premium. All right. Okay, let's move on to 2 questions. The guest questions we're going to ask you. I think you're very excited for those, Tagerd. First, the normal one from Quinny, our last guest, is where will Magos de Madrid finish the season? Hankies in, hankies out. I think hankies are firmly in the pockets right now.
I think I saw Matt put hankies out,
Really?
I think Matt put hankies out, yeah. He messaged me and said, I wasn't quite sure how to spell hankies. Is this right? I went, yeah. And then a couple hours later, hankies out.
So he's obviously a BFC Barcelona fan.
They've given you the role and gone, no, we don't have faith in our manager we've just appointed.
Or they thought like I overspent just for that money.
For how much you spent, they were expecting a trophy, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Tagerd? What do you think, Magos?
My finishing prediction changed after beating BFC Barcelona. I was thinking Magos would finish 7th. I expected Tango and Londinium to pass you. But now there's that 6-point gap. You're right up there. I think you're going to finish 5th.
I would sign for that. So,
I think you're going to finish 5th. I think you maintain the position.
Okay, that's good to hear. 5th. Jimbo, higher, lower?
I think you're going to finish 9th. Your account's going to be banned somehow, and then therefore you're not going to be able to rotate players. You're going to tank. No, I on all seriousness, I think you can go one better. I think you can go 4th. I think we can go one better, mate. I think we can go 4th. I'm going to believe that you can be
upset
within touching distance, so close yet so near of a podium spot. But hit 4th. I believe.
High hopes.
Right. So now we all know it's going to be 9th. It's going to be 9th.
Yeah.
I get the curse. Jinx is on.
Yeah, 5 plus 4 is 9, so it's finishing 9th.
Okay. Well, let's see. Maybe in 1 week we know much more. So now the best question, of course, bonus question from Quinny. Would you rather fight 12 squirrel-sized crocodiles or 1 crocodile-sized squirrel?
There is only one right answer. You do not want to fight a crocodile-sized squirrel. So definitely fight the 12 squirrel-sized crocodiles.
And I have a bonus question. If Platt Street No, let's say Park Street.
You just were waiting for that.
If Park Street Maple promote, I don't know, to Plat or to Diamond, will like a Pokemon evolution, will the squirrels turn into Croc squirrels and then like super squirrels, buff squirrels? Will there be some evolution?
Squirrels just multiply. They don't need to evolve. They're already perfect.
Okay, more squirrels multiply.
So when you get relegated, like the culling of the squirrels, and it's that sort of extermination, and we devolution and we go downwards. But at the moment, the population is rapidly expanding of squirrels at the moment. I think we'll do for a couple more seasons as yet.
Need more squirrels.
More squirrels. More squirrels.
Hashtag more squirrels.
More squirrels.
Up the squirrels.
Then, do you have a question for our next guests, whoever that might be?
Yes, I do.
Awesome.
It's good.
Good.
It's going to be a little bit on the lines of the start, bench, cut style questions. So for start, bench, cut, whatever it's going to be, get it out first, work on it, don't even worry about it. For features to add into MFL. Start, bench, cut. Individual player instructions. You know what I'm starting with. Individual player instructions. Agent controlled trainings. So being able to direct, I want players to train shooting or pace or passing. Agent controlled trainings. Or, I'm blanking on what the third one was.
VAR.
Oh, now I remember. Uses for players after retirement. So whether it's players retiring, turning into scouts or coaches, but retired player uses. So start, bench, cut, develop, work on it, throw it out the window. Individual player instructions, agent control training, retirement uses.
Start, bench, cut. Okay, great.
I like that.
I like it. Very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming towards the end of today's episode. As always, to prove that you've been listening and gotten this far, we're going to announce a hashtag. And the hashtag for today's episode is hashtag Progression Premium. Progression Premium. Will you pay the hashtag Progression Premium for seasons to come when getting in new recruits for your agency? So hashtag Progression Premium. Of course, too many P's. It's a bit of a tongue twister, that one, folks. Progression Premium. Hashtag Progression Premium. I want to say a massive thank you to the head yapper and annoyance of Lucas himself, Tagerd. Thank you for being on the pod today. Enjoyed yourself?
I did. Lovely
Good
time.
man. Lovely time. Lovely jubbly.
You're wonderful humans.
Oh, that is great. We didn't even mention Chip Butties in you saying that. So, that's wonderful.
And I do notice you got a little bit of Calvo Waff going on, Jimbo. Are you trying to keep up? Are you trying to keep up?
Yeah.
No. I'm in a sorry state of affairs with my hair at the moment, chaps. I was supposed to get a haircut about 2 weeks ago. I need to get one done. So maybe the stream, I might look completely different. It might be fresh, and this comment can be thrown out the window. So maybe I will. Maybe I'll confuse the listeners by having a nice fresh trim for the stream. So this makes you look silly. Tagger makes you look silly. But no, I'm not trying to.
Why do I care about
hair.
looking silly?
Yeah, true. You don't have a relegation wish, like some managers. You don't mind being relegated. But anyway,
that's good. Yeah,
we've gone far past Fergie time right now. Whistle needs to be blown. So hashtag Progression Premium. Thank you all so very much for listening, and we'll catch you this time next week for an episode of the WenDirk Cast. Thank you for listening.